What's up, everyone? It's me again. Sorry, it's been a while, but also I'm not. I'm a little amped right now. I'm drinking a pre workout. I'm going to do some lifting after this, but I have some free time. So I figured I'd record. And I looked at my YouTube channel, and I think it's been like 19 or 20 days since my last video. And my last video, I said I was going to be a little more consistent. So dropped the ball there. What's been going on? Well, I started journaling. That's something that I never really did a lot of. I've been doing that a little more. I got a nice journaling pen, a journaling notebook. So I've been trying to do that. That's been cool. It kind of helps me get some thoughts out there. And maybe one day I'll, look back at some of my journaling scripts and maybe read about how far I've come or maybe how far I've fallen. What else is new? I was walking outside to get the mail, and let's talk Crocs real quick. I'm a Crocs guy. I usually wear Crocs in sport mode. Went outside today, had them in non-sport mode, and it is wildly more comfortable to wear them in non-sport mode than in sport mode. Typically, I'm always in sport mode because I believe there's one speed in life, and that's go. So yeah, but I might be taking things on the more casual side moving forward in life. What else is new? School's going well. Weekend was a little hectic. Our program in school does this thing about once a semester called Learning Community Saturdays, where it's mandatory that you meet in person and you spend the day at campus, and you go to some different types of presentations that students put on, or maybe they have a professional speaker come in. And, it's all revolving around mental health. That's the program I'm in, is counseling and rehab. So everything kind of revolves around mental health to some degree. And it's like from 8:45 till 4 in the afternoon. Campus is about an hour and a half drive for me. On a Saturday, I'm leaving at 7 a.m. to get up there because I have anxiety, so I need to be able to make sure I find a parking spot. Excuse me. This pre-workout is hitting me in the face as we speak. So yeah, the day kind of flies by, but it's always good to see people in person. I typically do my program virtually. So, getting to see a lot of my student colleagues in person, obviously seeing the faculty and talking with them and getting to say hi is always nice to do. What else? We're about at midterm point. I feel like I'm finally hitting the ground running. I think I said that last video, but yeah, I mean, we're in it. Looking for job sites, got some email responses back today, which was super cool. Bless my faculty teacher who kind of runs the practicum internship portion of our program. She's been helping me out a ton. So she reached out to a few locations down in the Charleston area for me and was able to get some contact information. And then obviously my job is to reach out to those places with my cover letter and resume and all of that. Sent one out today. Sent two out today. One I already got an email from and got an interview scheduled for this Friday. Big ups. So that should go well. The woman that I'm emailing with, she seems super cool. She's like casual dress attire, just want to know you as a person. That's the thing that I love about this field. The way you prove yourself, in my opinion, in this field is to be yourself, to be your authentic self. And I feel like that's kind of what we're all striving for in life in general, is like, how do I become my authentic self? But this field allows me to be my authentic self. Obviously, I'm always working to polish that, right? I'm always looking at ways to speak a little more clear, be a little more direct in a cordial way. You never want to be off-putting like I think I used to be back in my younger days, but I've matured. I'm maturing like a fine wine. So, I'm I feel coked up right now, to be honest. This pre-workout is hitting. It's cool to know that I can go into this profession, obviously taking my lived experiences and how much that has taught me, and also taking what I've learned in academics from this profession and kind of coupling those together and being myself with that. The other place I sent my resume out to hasn't responded yet, but again, I sent that stuff out like a few hours ago. And then a place that I reached out to a few weeks ago got back to me today, actually. So Monday's been a big day. You know, this is huge for me because a few weeks ago, even last week, I was sort of feeling down. I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to find a lot of opportunities in Charleston. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm feeling a little more hopeful. So that's kind of where I'm at with school and future work coming up. So that's the intro to the video. But I do want to talk about something. And it's something that I've mentioned in other videos. But I think it's a really important skill, especially for us men, you know, anywhere in life, but especially as we start to get older. One of the things that men struggle with is kind of this concept that we get left behind. You know, there's all these really societal expectations placed on us on how we're supposed to act, whether that's we're supposed to be this, you know, super dominant alpha male, or you have to fit into a political ideal of what a man looks like, whether that's from the conservative or the liberal side of things. And there's all these pressures from the outside. And I think in that we kind of get lost in our own identity and trying to become ourselves. And one way that I've learned, you know, through a lot of counseling and a lot of self inquiring on my own self is the ability to, you know, respond and not react to things. And there's so many different areas that can be applied to. I've mentioned this before, but there's kind of this mantra I live by of when I'm engaging with people, I always try and think in the back of my head, am I listening to understand them, or am I listening to respond to them? And there's a huge difference between, you know, those two things. And, you know, that's as far as like conversation. But one thing that I've had to learn as a whole is just responding to situations and not reacting. When I was younger in my 20s and even early 30s, you know, I'm only 34, so I know that that's on the younger side of 30, but just kind of branching into my 30s, I was very reactive to everything. I think a lot of that came from feeling like things were very personal to me. You know, if something was said to me that maybe didn't feel right, I felt it was a personal attack. If I saw a community of people that I identified with not getting an advantage that someone else did, it felt personal. So everything in my life was very reactive. And I think in my reactivityness, that's not a word, but we can make it one right now. In all that, I think there was a lot of anger, and, you know, that pushes people away. It creates division. And one of the things that I've had to mature into and grow into and learn about is, one, not to take things personally. And that's just really not true. Obviously, there are circumstances in life when things happen that are personal, and you kind of have to dictate and judge when you need to be more reactive in situations than responding. And when I was able to start responding to things in a way and not react to them, it did a few things for me. One, it allowed me to feel like I had more self-control. You know, it sort of slowed things down for me. And in a weird way, it allowed me to kind of step outside of myself and think, okay, what you're saying is speaking more about you than it is trying to say anything about me. You know, when I listen to people now and maybe they're saying something that I could take as personal, I sometimes reframe it in my head as like, maybe you're the one that's sort of projecting something now. I don't say that to them, but that's one way that allows me to kind of handle that situation of choosing to respond over react, is instead of lashing back out them, I try and listen to them and say like, okay, maybe this is something that they're projecting because they're insecure or they feel a certain way or they feel like they've been wronged. Another way that I respond is by trying to listen to understand them, what I had said initially. So the huge difference in listening to understand versus listening to, respond or react to someone is when we're trying to understand someone, we are listening to them with no intentions of trying to reply back to them in a way that defends ourselves or tries to prove them wrong or to get them to see things from our perspective. We're simply listening to them to try and understand what they're saying, the deeper meaning behind what they're saying, and where they're coming from. And it's a really, really hard thing to do. In no way am I sitting here trying to say that is something that you're just going to learn overnight. But when someone told me the concept of, listening to understand versus respond, or learning to respond and not react to certain scenarios, I feel like as a man, I started to become a man. I feel like for so long, I had the age of a man and I have the body and the looks of a man, but I never identified as like a man. I never felt like a man. And one of the reasons was because I think I was trying to identify with areas of what manhood looked like that didn't fit me. And also, I was so insecure with who I was projecting out as a man. And when I was able to come to terms and say, like, the way that I'm acting, the way that I'm interacting with people, the way that I'm handling scenarios in life, I don't like, the easier it was for me to change things about myself that I wanted to change. I stopped pointing the finger at things and at people in life that I thought were affecting me, even though they 100% may have been affecting me, but I can't keep sitting here and going, you're the reason I do this. You're the reason I feel this way. You're the reason this is happening to me. At what point do I have to say, what am I going to do about this? Am I the one putting myself in this position? Am I the one putting myself in these predicaments? Why does this keep happening to me? Why do these trends keep happening to me? Maybe it's a me thing. All of those things, years of experiences, finally allowed me to get to a place, and by no means am I saying that I never react to things, but I have much more control over who I am. I have much more control over Josh. The Josh that I am now, I love. I love who I have become. I love who I keep becoming. And I can't say that about the old Josh. I wasn't proud of the old Josh. A lot of who we become, a lot of the things that we're trying to do requires us as men to take a hard look internally, not only at ourselves, but how we're portraying ourselves to the outside world, the things we're saying to people, the thought processes we have, our viewpoints and outlooks on life. We need to become, as men, more vulnerable and empathetic towards other people. It is not about just us. It is about all of us. So, I think that was I don't know, maybe got a little ranty. I just think it's a concept that a lot of young men struggle with. Is this kind of this personal attack mentality where everything is very personal and it's at you. Maybe people are just trying to help you. Maybe people are trying to show you something that they think that you could improve upon. So, as always, I appreciate you coming by. I'm going to try and do better at posting more. I talked last time, this is a creative outlet for me. Journaling has been a little bit more of a creative outlet with me. Working out is great, but I like doing this. So I want to keep doing this. So I'm going to try and be better. But thank you for coming by. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. See ya.